In this video, we are going to start talking about some of the analytics that we can generate through the UAS Sentry map. And what we're going to do is show some data that we collected when we were in Las Vegas on the week of June 23rd. We took a couple of our handheld units, one BV loss unit and the other one was a visual line of sight. The difference is the BV loss has an antenna and it detects drones out a little further. So we just put the both units just on the front seat of the car and drove around periodically, and also had it in our hotel room. And Las Vegas is pretty much a zero grid area everywhere we were traveling, so we weren't really expecting to see too many drones, but we saw quite a few, especially flying around the new sphere. And we saw one drone that was interesting when it took off from the Wynn parking lot, flew across the strip and went over by Caesar's Palace and the old Mirage, and it got up to about 1,300 feet. So that was kind of an interesting flight to look at. One other thing I want to mention with this new version of the map is that we now show the location of the UAS Sentry, and that shows up as a little blue triangle. So if you look at the map right now, you'll see all sorts of little blue triangles. That is where the receivers were when they detected the particular flight. We understand some customers may not want to show the receiver on a map, especially if they're given a presentation, so there is an option in the right side panel that says hide the receiver location, so that location will then be turned off from the map. So anyway, what we'll do is show you some analytics. What you're looking at right now are all the flights that were recorded over 4 or 5 days, and the receivers were not on for very much of the day, because usually we were inside the casino, but whenever we went out to lunch or dinner, we'd turn it on just to see what we caught, and then a couple nights in the hotel we just left it on overnight to see what was recorded. And that's where we got the drones flying over the sphere. So anyway, let's get started. So to get to analytics is pretty straightforward. You just go to more settings and log out and select show analytics, and then you'll get a bunch of histograms, assuming you've got permissions for analytics. The first one is the max AGL per flight. So this shows the highest a drone flew for all of the, whatever, we had 15 flights we recorded, and as you can see, the various percentages. The next is the max distance between the pilot and the drone per flight. And again, I'll just let you look at the various percentages. The next chart records the maximum speed a drone reached during each individual flight. The next chart shows the hour that the flight was detected. The hours are in Eastern time, so you need to subtract 3 hours for Vegas local time. The next chart shows the drone manufacturer, and all of the drones detected were DJI. The next are the make and models. So we saw quite a variety of DJI drones, including some Mavic 4s. We were surprised to see the Mavic 4s since you cannot buy them in the US, but apparently people are getting a hold of them. The next chart shows the closest a drone ever got to the receiver. This doesn't really make a lot of sense when you have a portable unit, but if you have a unit, for example, in a prison, the flights that are flying really close to the prison, you may want to go take a look at. The next chart shows the maximum distance the drone was from the perimeter center. This gives you an idea of the range you're getting. So you can see we were getting 1 to 2 miles with just our units, sitting in our hotel room or in the car. So let's actually dive deep into some of this data. First thing is, let's look at the altitude one. You select the drop down. You can select which flight you want to see, so we'll pick the flight with the highest altitude. And that's the one that took off from the Wynn parking lot, flew over the Strip, and over by the Old Mirage and Caesar's Palace. In the top left, you'll see data about the highest the drone got and the furthest it got away from the pilot. So there's the pilot in the parking lot of the Wynn. Let's bring up the map. Yep, sure enough, parking lot of the Wynn. And then it's a little scary because there's tourist helicopters flying up and down the Strip, and this drone was flying over the Strip and potentially in the same airspace the helicopter was. But maybe he had a waiver. Let's also take a look at the max distance between the pilot and drone. So we'll select one. So here's a drone that took off, and it looks like he went to check out a golf course. I assume that's the golf course associated with the Wynn. So he took off from a block away and shot up to an altitude that was above 400 feet. But I guess we can assume he also had a waiver. Next, let's check out max speed per flight. We'll check out the fastest one. Pretty fast drone. And that was an Inspire. And if you look closely, you'll see a little triangle going around. That's actually the receiver. We were in the parking structure, and if you go back and replay this, you'll see the drone or the car driving around the parking structure. Let's take a look at the Mavic 4, see where he was flying. Oh, he was flying around the sphere. And he was also above 400 feet. Now, when he's above the sphere, that's a structure, so he was, I guess, legal. But then when he goes out over the parking lot, and he's still over 400 feet, that's probably not legal, unless, of course, he has a waiver. Which maybe he did. Let's assume he did. if you look at the bottom, you'll see the little triangle. That's where our hotel was, and there's also the airport. So that's Harry Reid International Airport.